No.
Don't trust me.
Hello, Mr. Edgerton.
Hey.
I'm Henri. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Now, how does that go on?
Huh? It's behind your head. You're like,
There's sunglasses.
Okay, bonjour à tous. Hello everyone. And while photographers are at it for a few extra minutes, et pendant que les photographes s'activent encore quelques minutes, je voudrais vous rappeler la routine. Let me remind you of the routine. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand a little bit ahead of time. Si vous voulez poser une question, levez le bras un petit peu à l'avance, de façon à ce qu'on puisse vous voir, de façon à ce que les hôtesses équipées de micro arrivent jusqu'à vous. Quand vous aurez le micro, soyez assez gentils de vous lever, de vous présenter, de poser votre question, puis de vous rasseoir et de rendre le micro d'avance. Merci. You know the routine, guys. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand a little bit ahead of time. When you have the mic, please stand up, introduce yourselves, ask your question, sit down, and give the mic back. Thank you very much, messieurs les photographes et mesdames les photographes.
do we put this?
So polite.
Bonjour à tous, hello everyone, et bienvenue à la conférence de presse.
Welcome to the press conference on Loving.
Welcome to the press conference for Loving. The man sitting in the middle, of course, has come to Cannes at least twice before that. Take Shelter was shown at the Critics' Week and won the award. Mud was shown in competition. This is his third time around in Cannes. Mr. Jeff Nichols.
Thank you.
Sitting next to him, he fought blow for blow with Tom Hardy in Warrior. He came to Cannes with Gatsby. We saw him alongside with Johnny Depp in Black Mass. And he is also a director. He directed The Gift, Mr. Joel Edgerton.
Thank you.
As Mildred Loving, Ruth Negga. A word in the first question about this lady. She held more than her own opposite Samuel Jackson in Samaritan. You'll see a lot of her on television as Tulip.
Tulip O'Hare.
Tulip O'Hare in Preacher and also in Warcraft.
Warcraft. Yeah.
Warcraft. That's soon. But looking you up on IMDb, I realized that you did appear in 12 Years a Slave as Celeste, but uncredited. Why uncredited?
Because I got cut out of the most important movie ever made.
Okay, as good a reason as any.
Yeah. That was...
That's all you got.
Sore point. No, yeah, that was one of the most difficult phone calls I've ever received. But, you know, things balance out. I'm here with Jeff doing this film, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll keep my mouth shut from now on. First question, over here.
Jason Gorber from Cineplex.com and Twitch Film. The film is absolutely extraordinary. Congratulations to you all. You have a story which is incredibly subtle and could easily have been made into a grand courtroom drama. Instead, what you told is the quietness and the truthfulness of their love. If you could talk about, in terms of performers, of maintaining that balance, of maintaining the tone, and as writer-director, of ensuring that you did justice to this story without aggrandizing it and making it something bigger than it really needed to be. The story itself is important. The film didn't need to be something histrionic.
True. That's right.
I don't know, Joel.
Okay.
It was very... This movie was very special, and it was very special because of how quiet and meditative and simple things were. And I think the guide to it was the truth. The guide of the film was what really happened, and it's there. The information is there. We had access to footage of the couple and family members. Jeff had constructed a screenplay that was about the small building blocks of the truth that led to an accumulative effect that I think is at the same time triumphant and very shameful. You know, that you celebrate something, some struggle that shouldn't have had to exist. You know, when Richard drops a knee in the field, that should be the end of the movie. And it was very particularly un-Hollywood in the sense that, you know, for example, certain moments that to me a lesser screenwriter or someone really drawn into the patina of Hollywood may have rearranged the truth in order to make it more Hollywood. Let's have them high-fiving each other in the courtroom and, you know, having a party to celebrate themselves. And there was something just very simple about the truth that allowed us to have a very nice guideline to find our way into the story, for me anyway.
Your turn.
I think that it was Jeff's screenplay is so lean that I just felt I didn't really, there was nothing really to add or take away. I just felt like I don't know, I met Jeff like 2 years before we started filming, and so I'd lived with him, even though I didn't know I'd got the part, I'd lived with Mildred for 2 years and, you know, watched Nancy's documentary daily. And so I just felt like, I don't know, it was like being with a friend for 2 years. And I don't know, I fell deeply in love with Mildred and Richard and their story. And I think that we all just wanted to do them justice. And the great thing about Jeff is that you just feel very free when you act for him, because you just know that he will finally calibrate everything. So you don't need to do any of that. You can just get on with doing your job. And that's just, it's been the best experience I've had working with a director.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, yeah, obviously when this project came my way, it's so obvious the social and political, you know, repercussions that this story has. It seemed to me the best way to get to the heart of all of this is to just talk about these people. I think when we talk about politics and we talk about social issues like race and marriage equality, we tend to start to just join our platform thinking. You know, you're conservative, you're liberal, you go to your corners, and we're going to spar based on these political ideas that are just ideas. They aren't attached to anything specific. So we can talk about, you know, bathroom laws and all of this ridiculousness because it's not attached to people. It's just these political ideas. And I think that's a waste of time. I think what people forget when they're so heated in their debates are the people at the center of these things. And when I looked at this story, it seemed very, very obvious to me that we needed to just talk about the people. The court case is fascinating. How these lawyers brought this case to the Supreme Court could make a movie in and of itself. I did not want to make that movie. I didn't want to make a courtroom drama. I wanted to make a movie about two people in love. And fortunately, Richard and Mildred provide the most perfect version of that story. I truly believe this is one of the most pure love stories in American history.
What do you mean when you said that the project came your way? Mm-hmm. You didn't originate it?
No. Nancy Bursky made a wonderful documentary that aired on HBO called The Loving Story. And my agent approached me and said, this group is wanting to turn this documentary into a narrative film. So the first thing I did was look at the trailer. And the trailer's great. The trailer made me cry. And I sent it to my wife. And she wrote me an email back because I was traveling for work. And she said, listen, I really love you, but if you don't make this movie, I'm going to divorce you. And so that was it, you know. I didn't tell the producers that in
gave up that
negotiations. I played hardball, but I was in from the beginning. I've made so many films that are hard to talk about. You don't want to give away too much. You want to leave things open-ended. This is not that film. It's very easy to talk about because it's so simplistic and pure. And just from watching again the trailer for Nancy's documentary, I was sold.
Chaz.
Hi, Chaz Ebert. Hi, Jeff. You made a lovely, lovely movie, and it was so restrained that I was surprised what a big emotional impact it had on me. In the Black community growing up in Chicago, I remember those pictures in Life magazine. I remember the stigma of interracial, not just interracial marriage, but interracial dating. And in law school, Loving versus Virginia was one of the biggest cases that I studied before I did some civil rights litigation. This movie, first of all, Jason took my question, so I'm going to pose a different question. What connection did you have with the descendants of Mildred and Richard in making the movie, and how did that help in what you did? Also, the Ruth and Joel, I asked them, thank you for lovely, lovely performances.
Thanks, Chaz. Well, unfortunately, out of the 3 children that Richard and Mildred had, Peggy Loving is the only one still alive. And I first met her before I started writing the script with Jed Doherty and Nancy. I flew out to Virginia and just to see the locations, and I met Peggy for the first time. And I was very excited. I had tons of questions. Was there music in the home? What was it like? Because despite the fact that there's a lot of information out there about the court case, there's not a lot of information about the Lovings, which I knew I wanted to focus on. But much like Richard, she was very, very shy and very kind of tight-lipped. She was very sweet, and so I didn't get very much information out of her. And it's been a process, to be honest, that the most terrifying part of this has been showing her the script, showing her the film. Ruth and I had the pleasure of going over to her house after she had read the script. And I was sitting there with her, and she's a very strong woman, and she started flipping through, just looking at it. And I couldn't tell if she liked it or not. She hadn't said anything. And she began to cry because she said, they're all gone. And it immediately struck me, these people that I had taken control of enough to be able to write this script, these are her people. And very much what Ruth said, we were all very aware of the challenge of doing this correctly, of honoring these people. I don't know if they did everything in this movie. I had to come up with a lot, but I hope it represents the essence of who these people were.
Question where? Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Hi, my name is Deborah Cole. I'm from Agence France Presse. I have a question for Jeff Nichols and for the cast. You talked about some of the social and political repercussions of this, and this film is landing in a very sort of heated atmosphere right now in the United States in election year. And I was wondering how you hope this film is going to sort of influence that conversation that's taking place. And to the 2 actors, both of you are not American. I was wondering about that question of political repercussions in your own countries, how you see the potential impact of this film.
Well, again, I hope this is, this is the quiet film of the year. And I hope it makes people think about what's at the heart of these issues. Again, it's similar to that other answer. Hopefully it makes people think about the fact that people are at the center of these debates, and people that matter, people whose lives are affected by these decisions. And you can sit in your armchair at home and espouse all of these opinions, but they actually affect people. And this is all we want to do. This is why being at a festival like this is important. Having a company like Focus releasing this film, I just want people to see it. People need to talk about this stuff. Guys?
I think what Jeff's saying is absolutely true. I mean, one of the things that really struck me about working on this film was that what happens between two individuals is sort of nobody else's business, especially when I believe that if people are doing things out of kindness and the spirit of goodness, that if they're not damaging or hurting or affecting other people negatively, then what's wrong with the bond between two people, whatever they look like, whatever gender they are? Because what does it matter to me what you want to do? Like, why should I tell you what to do? And I think it's very kind of inherently wrong. And there's definite resonance with these ideas in my own country. Outside of America, in Australia, there's definitely, particularly with the rights of, within gay marriage, it's a very big debate at the moment. But also just general outside of the law opinion from individuals towards others about what they can and can't do in the minds of certain people is quite astounding. And the sort of the latent sort of under the surface racism or negative opinion to me is something that I think we really need to talk about, and that a film like this can really illuminate that, as Jeff said, to let people sit and quietly watch an example of two people who were really affected by the opinions of others.
It's okay.
Well, I think that the thing is that a conversation is always good, and I think it's how we learn is through talking and dialogue and discourse, and I think that's happening now. I think it's people are becoming less afraid to have controversial discussions, and I think that can only be a good thing. I mean, in terms of my own country, I'm half Irish. Last year we had the referendum on gay marriage, and there was an overwhelming support for it, and I was very proud about that because, being one of, having a very, very Catholic history, I think that we showed the world that it's possible to evolve in having discussions about equality, and the great thing about this film is it humanizes us. I think that it just shows the world that, like Jeff said, that these aren't just broad political kind of ideas. They're about individuals and humans, and that can only lead to, a broader discussion about being kind to each other, I think, essentially.
Sir?
Rodrigo Fonseca from TV Globo Brazil. This film is absolutely amazing. Could you tell a few words about your partnership with Aidan Stone, your photographer? And Ruth, are you prepared to win the Oscar? Because you will, and you deserve it.
I agree. I agree. Adam Stone. Adam Stone is one of the greatest cinematographers in the world, and he happens to be my buddy. We went to college together, and he shot my first film. He shot all of my films. Especially in this town, the word auteur gets thrown around a lot, and anyone that's made a film knows that it's an incomplete term. Adam Stone, also Chad Keith, my production designer, who's actually here at the festival. These are people that are right by my side, and every decision I make is filtered through these people. With Adam specifically, it's filtered through his camera, through his lens, and he and I just understand each other. He's able to make things beautiful without making them affected. There's no veneer on his images, and especially for a period piece. Obviously, movies are fake. Everything about them is fake, and that is highlighted when you make a period piece, because you walk on set and you realize we had to bring everything here in order for it to exist in front of the camera. And what Adam does is, again, he just photographs it honestly. Nature is a huge part of this film and this story. It has been a big part of all of our films, but I think this is the most overt depiction of nature and how it affects the characters specifically. And when you have Adam Stone standing next to you, you know that it's going to come out beautifully. He's the best.
So have you started writing your acceptance speech?
Let's get through the press conference first.
Okay. Question over there.
Oh, hi. Congratulations. This is one of the better movies of the year. My question is for Mr. Nichols. I've heard of filmmakers who've hired and worked with foreign actors because they bring a greater objectivity to the part. I wonder if you could comment on that at all. And the gentleman over here took my question about the Oscars, but I guess I'll point that to Mr. Edgerton. How do you feel about receiving your Academy Award nomination? Thank you very much.
I'm going to practice my speech right here.
He actually has it written.
Thank you for saying that. It's very nice of you.
I saw it. Oh, gosh. I started laughing. I forgot the question. Oh, yeah, foreign actors. So this was a very interesting situation because when I was writing this film, when I wrote Mud, I dreamed of Matthew McConaughey in that part. And when he showed up on set and started saying those words, it was perfect because it's exactly what I've been dreaming. When I wrote this, I was dreaming of Richard and Mildred because we had this beautiful documentary footage unearthed from the mid-'60s where we really got to go into their home and see them and watch them. It's an unusual thing to have access to, I think. And so I had to find people that physically resembled them because it was in my head that way. But we also got to listen to them in this footage. And it's a very particular type of accent. I'm from Arkansas, and we have a very particular type of accent. I think sometimes when the American South is thought about or depicted, everybody sounds like they're in a Tennessee Williams play. And it's not appropriate. Not everybody's from Mississippi and has this long drawl. In fact, the rhythm of Richard's dialogue is very staccato. It's a very strange accent. There's a coastal influence that comes down, so their abouts become a boots. And then the period affects it. So it made sense not to just go out and pluck someone from the South. It made sense to actually go through the process that you go through with an actor from another country in terms of the mechanics of working on an accent. Now, luckily, I have two of the greatest actors in the world who are extraordinarily proficient at this. Ruth was the first actress that we auditioned for this, and she came in and completely embodied Mildred Loving. Sarah Green, my producing partner, and I, we just looked at each other and kind of like, is that it? Do we need to see more? And I think it's because they're coming at it. They have to deal with the accent up front, and I think in this particular case, that's very valuable.
Question over there.
Carmine Pascuzzi from Media Search in Australia. Congratulations on a great film. I'm sure our audiences in Australia will get to appreciate it greatly in the coming months. Just a question for Ruth and Joel. You've touched on it before, but when you saw the script, was it just something that was important, so important you had to do this? And what have you learned since, as far as your experiences?
I had, I'd worked with Jeff on Midnight Special, and, when you're on a good thing, you try and stick with it. We're only as good as the people that look after us at the top of the tree, and so to work with a director that you feel safe with is something you want to keep doing. And then particularly, though, because reading this screenplay and knowing the story and having seen the documentary, it was such a special thing. I was nervous reading it because when you care so much and you really want to do something, you hope that everything's as good as it could be. And I'm almost turning the page waiting for something to be wrong with it. And it was so wonderful. And it's a rare gift to have a job like this. I mean, it stops being a job at all. It becomes like a real, a complete privilege. So, it was an absolute no-brainer for me compared to what other movies are out there in the world for us to do. You know what I mean? Someone knows.
I think my agent rang you every week for about 2 years because I would not let this go. There was no alternative really. I just really had to play her. I was familiar with Jeff's work and just the script and him and Sarah. I just thought that I needed this job very badly, and it was such, like Joe said, it was such a privilege to play Mildred, an incredible woman, just incredible, and I think that Jeff has done her and Richard such justice, and hopefully, people will, learn about them, because I think that they need. I think that they need a bigger platform, this pair, because what they achieved was incredible.
Can I add something to that? And it's something that Jeff was saying earlier too. It's interesting that this is such a big kind of watershed civil rights shift in the United States and had its ramifications other places. And I suspect sometimes that those things go unnoticed when they don't involve bloodshed or massive acts of violence. And there's something so gentle about this, and yet at the same time there is such a kind of a hidden violence to the oppression of situations like this, where people aren't allowed, they're put into exile, they're given decisions, choices to make that are just kind of inhuman. But because there was nothing extremely violent about it, I think that it's somehow in a lot of circles gone unnoticed. But I think it's a very special story, and one very, very worth seeing, and therefore I think will create a lot of conversation.
We'll take two more questions, one here.
Hello, I'm Catherine Shord from The Guardian. Congratulations on a wonderful film. I was really shocked by how recently this happened, and I wondered if you yourselves were more surprised by how much the world has changed since 1967 or how little. Thanks.
I think a bit of both, yeah. I mean, it's interesting to note that even though that law changed at that time, that it wasn't until, I think, 2000 that a certain state in America finally recognised the law. And so, a lot has changed, but a lot has not changed at all.
Yeah, that was surprising to me, that I don't think they officially repealed that act in I can't remember, Alabama till 2000. That was quite shocking to me. I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that at all. Yeah.
When we were first working on this, I guess I started working on it in 2012, 2013. And And there was this idea of, oh, we should really try and get this out, before the Supreme Court hears this debate. Wouldn't it be great if this influenced it? And then, when we were making the film, the verdict came in the way that we all hoped, and then there was this idea of, well, is this just going to be taken care of? And of course, it's not. Soon you get religious liberty laws added and all of these other things, and you realize the Supreme Court can only do so much. The letter of the law sometimes gets it right, and luckily I think the Supreme Court got it right in this most recent case. But it takes a long time for society to get it right. And that's what has always been surprising to me, is that we never get over the hurdle. And maybe we never will. Maybe in a way, it deserves to be always talked about and always considered. But I'm definitely surprised in some of the reactions in the United States specifically that continue to come out of these states. People are afraid of certain things, and they feel that it's necessary to legislate that fear.
We'll take one last question over there.
Hello. It's Jack Mulvin from The Times. Hello. This question for Ruth. There's a feeling that this might be very much a special moment in your career for you. You've got lots of films coming up that Honoré mentioned in the introduction, including Warcraft, but this has had a very good response here at the festival. As you've heard from people asking about Oscar nominations, I'm not inviting you to speculate about yourself winning an Oscar nomination, but is this a special moment for you in your career?
Yeah, I think it is, because this is the most important film I've ever made, and it's one of the most important films in history, I think. And I'm kind of overwhelmed by everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't know really. The thing is, you don't really. It's very hard to step back from and like see it all pan out. I just try and chase the jobs that I think I want to do and be a part of, and directors I want to work with, and so I just kind of, so all the rest of it is I don't want to diminish it by saying background noise, but I find it quite overwhelming to think about it like that. But yeah, this is it's something super special.
On that note, I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much
Thank
all of you for being here.
It wasn't too painful.
Thank you, you made it less painful.
Thank you.